Before we kick this video off, I just want to quickly apologize for some of the clips in this aren't the greatest of quality. In here we have basically these two lights, well, and that one there that lights up this portion of the garage, and they aren't the greatest at certain angles, especially sort of like more over in this corner, and I do get grease on the camera lens sometimes, and it's not as apparent in good light, but with bad light it makes it 10 times worse. We are fixing this. I currently have a few light bars on the way, and once they get here we can wire them up. Same lights that I had done in my first workshop, if you guys remember how good they were and how much they transformed just the whole vibe of the workshop. So really looking forward to that. But also quickly, I am in desperate need of a Cefiro clutch pedal for this. So if anyone has a C33, A31 clutch pedal, I think the R32 clutch pedal is the same. I'm not 100% sure. But either way, I need a clutch pedal for it. So if you've got one, please sell it to me. What's going on, guys, and welcome to today's video. Doing some stuff on the Cef today. Haven't worked on it in almost a week. We got a bunch of fabrication work done on this in the last video, and pretty happy with how it all came out. Something that I forgot to mention in the video is that the downpipe and exhaust I had for this thing actually came off my old Cefiro. Most of you will probably not remember that because most of you are new, but for those that have been around for a while, you guys will remember my old Cefiro. And yeah, the downpipe and exhaust system from that is now on this car. So obviously, because we are running a completely different manifold, had to get the downpipe modified because it didn't quite line up properly. But yeah, happy with how it came out. Also happy with how the screamer came out. I can't wait to get the tip finished, the teardrop sort of style that will be going out the bonnet. I'm going to take all of this apart at a later stage, and I'm going to put some heat wrap around this downpipe just to make it a little bit pretty. It doesn't look the best having a weld there like that, but had to be done. Today what I want to get done on this is I want to basically get the whole front of this motor back together. Got my water pump off my 25 depth block that I had at storage, so we can put that on. And then once that's on, we can basically put the whole timing kit together. So I've got to put my crank pulley on, we've got to put the back cover on, cam gears on, and I have a brand new timing kit right there. And then once all of that is done, I also picked up some matte black paint yesterday, so I can paint the factory Cefiro power steering reservoir. And once that's painted, we can mount all the power steering stuff back up. Currently, because I took all of the subframe and lines and everything out of the S14, it's got a S14 power steering reservoir at the moment. So yeah, I want to swap that out because the factory Cefiro ones are metal, so I think it'll just look better. And yeah, once that's done, mounted up, we can then mount the power steering pump to the side of the motor as well. Here I've got the water pump off the 25 det. Looks deceiving, it looks gross and rusty, but this was only run on the car twice, and then the water was drained, so it's just residue water that's there. All of that is just all surface rust looking stuff. I've gone through, cleaned up all the surface on it, so she is ready to be thrown on. Alright, so before we chuck the water pump on and the seal, or gasket I should say, I'm just going to put a thin layer of sealant all the way around it, because yeah, again, we're using a Permatex seal and they are known to not be the greatest. Always wipe off your excess. The other good thing about using sealant is it sort of acts as a glue to help your gasket stick to where it needs to go. So we got the new timing kit in here. Comes with obviously brand new timing belt and new tensioners. Comes with new cam seals as well, but we already had fresh cam seals put in there, so don't need to worry about these. With this one here, this is the bit that the spring goes on, so I've already taken the spring off the old pulley. It's pretty easy to put on. Just basically sort of get it over like that. Put it back a little bit. And it just has a little hole that it goes into. So this one goes on here like that. And the spring goes, I can't remember if it goes over or under that stud, but we'll figure that out in a second. And then this one goes on here. Before we chuck this crank cog on, we put this on. I actually forgot this the first time round I ever went to put the crank cog back on, which is not what you want to do. You definitely want that on there. Now for the cams. So I got my cam gears on and I've already done this one. You can see how the dot is now lined up to the mark that it needs to be. Well, roughly, it needs to come up a little bit more actually now that I look at it. But this one you can see is quite the ways off, so we need to get that mark up to there. So I'm gonna grab my cam belt, put it like that. I'm gonna just is spot on. So now I just got to quickly adjust this side. There is another way to line them up, but it involves taking the valve covers off because the cams themselves actually have a point at the front where you can get like an adjustable wrench on them, and you can actually use that to turn the cam in the direction that you need to. But like I said, that requires taking these off, and doing it with the cam belt is way easier. So we're ready to chuck the cam belt on now. We have our 2 marks up the top here for our cam gears, and then the mark down here for the crank cog. So now that goes facing that way so you can read it on the top, because it actually does matter whether you do it that way or that way. We will line that line up there on that one. Apologies, but my camera died as I was doing that. So we got the timing gear all sorted, put the cam angle sensor bracket on as well. So yeah, we got this on, it's all tensioned up, and turned it around a few times and everything lines up good. So yep, it's time to put all the front covers and stuff on. So yeah, obviously you got to put the cast bracket on first, because if you don't put that on, then yeah, you're not gonna have a good time. So just gave the front cover a bit of a wipe to clean up a little bit. I do actually plan on painting the valve covers, so when I paint the valve covers I will paint the front cover as well. I'm not sure if I'm going to repaint this black or if I'll paint it the same color as I end up doing the valve covers, but yeah, when that time comes we'll weigh it up. But it's looking good. Front's coming together now, so all I got to do is put the front pulley on and the cast, and then we can start doing the power steering stuff. Kim over here, it's the half moon that we need. Can't forget that little thing. So pretty stoked, got the whole front of the motor back together. I've only just nipped this up to start with because I'm gonna wait until I actually got the drive shaft in it and the brakes and stuff hooked up. That way, when I go to tighten it, I can have someone in the car on the gear, on the brakes while we tighten that. Now that we got all that sorted, I am now going to start cleaning the power steering reservoir up. So this has been painted in the past, as you can see. So I'm going to use some Scotch-Brite, get this right back to its original finish, and then we'll hit it with some paint, and then hopefully it dries soon so we can chuck it in the car. So I have finished prepping the power steering reservoir for paint, scuffed it all up, got rid of the old paint, and yeah, about to hit it with some primer, and then yeah, we'll hit it with some paint. Got to mention that you guys noticed how the paint was kind of starting to flake off like it was before. So that's what happens when you don't prep something properly for paint. This reservoir in the past had just straight up just been painted over, I think cleaned and then yeah, painted over, and that's what happens, it starts to flake off like that. So scuff up the surface at a minimum, and then yeah, hit it with primer and then paint. So I hit the reservoir with 2 coats of primer, and yeah, the second coat is pretty dry now. It's looking good. So now we're gonna hit it with some paint. I used to actually buy like real cheap paint, but the saying is true, you get what you pay for. I started using this Duplicolour stuff. It's a little bit more expensive, but it sprays so much better. While the reservoir dries, I'm going to start chucking the power steering pump onto the motor. So I've got a power steering bracket here, and it's literally just 3 bolts and it'll be done. It's a new day. Yesterday we painted the power steering reservoir and I left it dry overnight, and I have installed it and it looks awesome. I'm so happy with how that came out. This looks so good in the engine bay compared to how it would have, or compared to how the S14 ones are. Because yeah, the S14 ones are plastic, as with the Cefiro ones, they're actually metal. So yeah, it's all hooked up. All the power steering is all situated apart from my belt, but I need to get a new belt. I also need to put a alternator on and then tighten that, and then all the belts are ready to go on. That will wrap it for this one, guys. I feel like this video is probably going to be a bit shorter, but yeah, still got quite a bit done and pretty happy. Got a whole lot more work that needs to be done over the next week before we go for tune. We've got some new injectors coming, a few other parts that are on their way to be going into this, and yeah, no, I'm excited. It's getting close now. So yeah, appreciate you guys watching the videos, liking, commenting, all that stuff, and yeah, catch you in the next one.